is a severe weather alert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to News Channel 3 Midday. I'm Katie Wilson.
And I'm Rob Johnson. We do begin with a severe weather alert. Dangerously cold weather blanketing our region. Snow came through the region early this morning, made the road slick, and the wind is blowing so hard that it's making the temperature feel like it's below zero. It's just difficult to be outside. And this is how it looked this morning in Kanawha County. This video showing us snow-covered Route 21. Really wasn't much more than an inch or two of snow.
And you can see the snow blowing around on Pennsylvania South and Randolph Street. And of course, a lot of schools called off today because of this severe cold weather.
Now we want to check in with Brandon, get the latest on this. I know this is really cold and not the coldest we're going to get.
No, we're still dropping with those temperatures, and that cold air, it takes a lot less moisture to really fluff up some snow. You can see in the Summersville area in Nicholas County still getting the flakes to fly, but good news is that snow has been so blustery that it's been able to just blow right off the road, and now we're even seeing those streets dry out. Good news for the highways as sunshine filters back in. For example, in places like Logan, we're able to see a little bit of melting on those streets, but the side streets, the shaded areas, you're going to be stuck with the flakes and the ground, and it'll still be there if it doesn't blow off the streets tonight. Still got a couple of lingering flurry lines, not much more than a dusting, but what you do have is those temperatures going in the wrong direction. Just 12 now in Charleston, 9 degrees in Huntington, and when you throw in the wind, already below zero in a lot of spots and going to continue to get colder than that. So the rest of this afternoon, gusty winds at times. We've already been experiencing that. Tonight, the temperatures will drop further than you would normally see with the clear sky. Of course, because of the little bit of snow on the ground, the winds will die down. We have that in our favor, but the air temperatures make more than can make up for it because we're in the midst of that cold, frigid air. The concept of a polar vortex is a real thing, and we're actually seeing it going right through the middle part of the Ohio Valley, something that we'll have to talk about a little bit more. But the good news is after tomorrow, we are in store for a dramatic warm-up, and even a little bit, it's going to feel noticeably better.
I would say it can't get colder.
Well,
it's not possible, is it?
You wait the next couple of hours and feel it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Brandon. These cold temperatures are brutal, even dangerous. It can be even more unsafe if you aren't prepared of what to do if you're in any kind of emergency.
So News Channel 3's Chad Hedrick is joining us from I-64 in Huntington, showing us what the extreme weather can do if you're stuck in your car.
That's right, Robin. Katie, it can happen to anyone. You're driving down the interstate or any road and you start having those car troubles and you're stuck alongside. So what do? I can tell you about 30 minutes ago, we shut the car off in our station car and the temperature inside was 80 degrees. Now, about 30 minutes later, it's down to 69. So an 11-degree drop. It's not uncomfortable, but it's a noticeable difference. So in the meantime, though, what do you need in your car to make sure that you are staying safe while you're waiting for help? Experts say keep some snacks inside, you know, some crackers. And personally, me, I'll keep my M&Ms just to have something to keep you going. Also keeping blankets, extra pairs of gloves inside. And it's also not a bad idea to go ahead and get an emergency kit if you don't have one for your car. I've had this one for about 7 years since I got my driver's license, and we were going through it today for our story. There are several things in here: jumper cables, some Band-Aids, there's even a flashlight in here, but you want to make sure it's got batteries in it. This one doesn't, so it's pretty much useless to me. But something that some people may not think about, keeping hand warmers. You can keep them in your glove box or in the kit yourself. But you want to make sure anything that can expire, like these hand warmers, you're replenishing that stock because these expired in June of 2013. So again, kind of useless for me. So we'll be out here for the next hour or so, kind of watching the temperature, seeing how it gets inside, and we'll tell you more experts' tips coming up tonight at 6.
Chad, I know it's going to get a lot more uncomfortable through the afternoon. We look forward to your report tonight. Thank you. And experts, by the way, always tell you when you're driving anywhere, use your same route and also tell people when you're going, just so others know, especially if you're going to be in an area where there isn't always cell phone service available to you.
And in these bitter cold conditions, one thing you should not do is rely on something like a space heater to stay warm. The gymnasium at the Roosevelt Neighborhood Center in Charleston will be open today for anyone needing a warm space. Doors will open at around 5 this evening. The Salvation Army also opened their doors last night. They'll also be open this evening into tomorrow morning from 9 to 7. The mayor of St. Albans says the Hansford Senior Center will be open again tonight. He says, excuse me, there's no bedding, so bring your own if you need to spend the night. We've got a full list of warming centers on our website, WSAZ.com.
And I know it can be awkward to say yes to that kind of an invitation, but take them up on it if you need it. And because this is such cold weather, awful lot of churches in our region are deciding to cancel their Wednesday evening services for tonight. We're posting those right now on WSAZ.com. There's a list under the story called Church Closings, and continue to look through the day, because I think as we get closer to church tonight, more churches are going to cancel. Well, so many schools in our region are also out today because of this snow and cold.
And for some schools, this is 2 days in a row now. Despite little snow yesterday, several schools were closed. Pike County, Kentucky School Superintendent Reed Adkins says he canceled school yesterday because of the conditions of the back roads. Belfry Elementary Vice Principal Rhonda Krieger and Principal Jill Maynard say they wanted to motivate the students in a new way. Well, after 3 takes and 15 minutes of songwriting, the duo made a video to tell their students to stay home.
We like to put a little twist and a spin on it and bring smiles to everybody's faces and get them all pumped up about doing their NTI day packets.
The students don't have to make up missed snow days in the summer, of course, if an NTI day is declared. And remember, you can see all the school closings and delays at the bottom of your screen, as well as on WSAZ app and WSAZ.com. Well, now to a developing story at the West Virginia Capitol. The State Board of Education is holding an emergency meeting on the omnibus education bill.
This bill, 144 pages long, has more than 60 components, ranging from the teacher pay raise to completely changing the way the school system would run. It has teachers fired up enough that they're already talking about striking again. Well, News Channel 3's Leanne Schinkel joining us now live from that meeting. And Leanne, board members told you this could take hours.
Rob, as you mentioned, the bill is 144 pages long and covers more than 60 different areas. So the State Board of Education is meeting today to discuss any confusion over each and every statute and then discussing whether or not they agree or disagree with each item. Now, they are praising Governor Jim Justice for his statement yesterday, saying that he disagrees with this bill. He wishes that the Senate would look at each thing specifically, even pay raises. He wishes that the Senate would look at pay raises specifically, and the Board of Education says they agree with that. There are things that they do like about this bill, but they say that there's too many bad things that come with the good. So they are planning to review today. I'm going to stick around here for this discussion. They say once they finish things up today, they're going to go to the Senate and demand that they be involved in forming this bill, saying it's even unconstitutional that they're not. I'm going to continue to follow this, and I'll have an update for you at 5 and 6.
All right, Leanne, thank you. Now, the West Virginia Senate has been reviewing the education bill today. They've been in recess. They'll stay at lunch till 12:45. But this is the live Senate camera looking up at the dome. Senators are trying to figure out what can pass before taking it to any kind of a full vote. Well, today we get an inside look at how Democrats and Republicans in Washington are trying to avoid another government shutdown.
The panel of 17 lawmakers selected to find a compromise meet for the very first time today. It's open to the public. Tracy Potts looks at where they'll begin.
Today, the deal makers get to work.
We're going to work out some sensible solutions, and there are many of them that I think we can all support.
Their job to come up with a border wall compromise that both parties will support and President Trump will sign, avoiding another government shutdown on February 15th.
We can bridge our differences based on facts, based on evidence, based on experts.
The conference committee includes 9 Democrats and 8 Republicans. Their first public meeting happens today.
We'll have to see if they're willing to break from the president.
The Senate's top Republican is already giving them some leeway.
I'm for whatever works, which means avoiding a shutdown and avoiding the president feeling he should declare a national emergency.
Whatever they come up with will have to include something that looks, feels, and sounds like a wall.
Physical barriers have to be part of the solution.
It could be barrier. It doesn't have to be a wall.
We are willing to support fencing where it makes sense.
America's counting on this new team of negotiators to keep the government running and keep paychecks flowing.
The president's threatened to declare a national emergency to build the wall, but 3 top intelligence chiefs told Congress yesterday North Korea is the biggest threat. They didn't even mention the border. Well, the nurse accused of raping and impregnating an incapacitated woman will appear in court. 36-year-old Nathan Sutherland was arrested last week after a DNA sample from the newborn matched Sutherland's DNA.
Staff members at the Hacienda healthcare facility told 911 operators they weren't even aware the woman was pregnant till the baby was born. Sutherland now being held on a $500,000 bond, and if he is released, he'll be placed on house arrest and ordered to wear one of those electronic monitoring devices on his ankle until trial. Now to a neighborhood crime alert. Take a look at these pictures. Detectives in Kanawha County say these are women who have been making rounds at different nursing homes and assisted living centers, initially asking for a job, but then going in and stealing purses and wallets while they're there. They're still trying to identify who these two women are. Well, now to a follow-up to our breaking news alert of yesterday at midday. The NTSB is going to take over the investigation into that medical helicopter crash that killed 3 people.
It happened in Benton County, Ohio. Investigators from Chicago are set to arrive today trying to figure out what caused the crash yesterday morning. The helicopter was flying out of Columbus to a hospital in Meigs County to transfer a patient. Emergency crews found the Bell helicopter near a ridge line on Rock Camp Road. Pilot Jennifer Topper and flight nurses Bradley Haynes and Rachel Cunningham died in the crash.
A high-speed chase ended with a crash early this morning of the car variety. This one on Timberlake Drive in Huntington in the Pea Ridge area about 2:30 this morning. Police say it was a teenager driving, speeding along Route 60, took off when a deputy tried to stop him. The driver hit a brick wall that holds a flower bed at the Timberlake entrance, then crashed into a light pole, nearly rolled the vehicle into the lake. The driver was taken to the hospital, but not life-threatening injuries.
One driver was taken to the hospital after 2 vehicles hit head-on in Kanawha County this morning. The accident happened around 7:45 on Brown Creek Road. A Jeep 4x4 and a pickup truck slammed into each other on the snow-covered road. The pickup driver told deputies he tried to avoid the Jeep, but instead hit head-on. The pickup driver wasn't injured, but the Jeep driver was taken to the hospital. No word on the extent of the injuries. Well, still to come on this midday, neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night. Wait a minute, the polar vortex can stop all of that from happening in many places across the country.
And how do you fight back against this kind of Arctic temperature? For one crucial business, you use open flames.
Oh, the temperature right now at the South Pole is 5 degrees below zero. Remember, they're in their summer. Whoever's there. Around here, we're close to that and could get even closer tonight. Stay tuned.
This is a severe weather alert.
All right, let's get a check on the forecast. You know, something I wasn't really thinking about earlier, this polar vortex, it's affecting nearly the entire country.
Yeah, when it comes in straight from the North Pole, sometimes you can just get that air, copy, paste, just plow it right down into the U.S., see how far it goes, kind of like an ocean wave. See how far into the area it gets? Well, it's getting right down Main Street here for a lot of us in the Ohio Valley, and even stretching into the tri-state area as well. We're looking at some lingering flurries here left over from that initial push of cold air, the real Arctic stuff coming into our region. It's not much more than flurries here, but remember, when you combine it with the snow that's already fallen and those blustery winds, a lot of blowing and drifting of snow that really lowers visibility. I wouldn't even say the snow is essentially stuck anywhere. It's just laying there, and the wind is easily able to continue to push it right through the afternoon. These temperatures have been falling all day long as well. Just 12 degrees in Charleston, 9 in Huntington, 6 in Portsmouth. So you know the direction we're going. It's the wrong way. 15 degrees below zero in that wind out there toward Gallipolis. So you can see a lot of cold also coming through, and it's just getting started. We have those wind chill advisories, sub-zero wind chills going through tonight, even into a portion of tomorrow. So the rest of the afternoon, we'll see that Arctic sun continue to see our temperatures drop despite it. Single digits before the end of the day, and it just gets colder from there. These cold air cumulus clouds have come in here. One last little wave where we can throw in a few flakes, but it's not a big deal. But the cold is, and that cold air has right now managed to plunge through Minnesota, across Chicago, and now it's going to cut up north between Columbus and Pittsburgh in terms of the core of the deepest chill. But even getting a small piece of it still puts the air in a very tight spiral here locally, where we're dealing with the chill and the blustery winds. Now tonight the winds die down. Problem is that allows the air temperature to drop even further. So one way or the other, the real feel of the temperature will be unchanged this afternoon because of the wind, putting the wind chill down. And then when the wind chill lightens, the air temperature now drops to meet it. So tomorrow morning, as cold as we've seen all year, if not colder. But by Thursday afternoon, a few clouds start showing up. Temperatures stay in the 20s tomorrow, so no real warm up. But Friday does start a warming trend. We are looking at this snow. We could see more accumulating snow across the region. But notice, as you get to the afternoon, we may warm up enough to get above freezing. How about that? And see a little rain at the end of the day. So here's your forecast. Flakes and the sun spreads, but has no effect on those temperatures. They continue to fall. Brutal gusty winds throwing those wind chills well below zero and continuing that way tonight with this Arctic feel. That wind chill going to stay below zero through Thursday. Notice the warming trend as we get on into the next week and weekend, seeing those temperatures move to the 20s and then jump 30s, 40s, 50s. Even a 60-degree mark not out of the realm on this one, and that would feel just hot by comparison to what we're dealing with. But there's a long way to go between now and then, and of course, we've got a groundhog in the middle too.
Yeah, well, and I'm talking even a 5-degree jump up wouldn't make any difference at all. We couldn't even feel 5 degrees. Yes. So I'm glad that weekend feels huge. 50 Yep. Thank you, sir.
Looking forward to that. A winter storm affecting hundreds of millions of people is prompting the Postal Service to suspend delivery operations. 10 states have stopped deliveries.
Yeah, the United States Postal Service releasing an updated list yesterday of where it will now not deliver because of the polar vortex. The list includes Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, South Dakota, North Dakota, eastern part of Montana, parts of Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska. Yep, forget that through snow and all that nonsense. It's not happening. Retail operations at the post offices will be available, but they're warning even that may be limited. It comes as 77% now of the continental U.S. faces these below freezing temperatures this week.
Wow.
Now, folks in Chicago seeing the railroad tracks on fire. And actually, there's a good reason for it, and it's appropriate. It's because the temperatures got so cold, they're worried about crashes. The commuter rail service fighting the cold with fire just to keep the switches working.
Winter weather can cause snow and ice to clog switches, which control which rail trains run on. So clogged switches can bring trains to a halt until the blockage is cleared.
Well, just ahead, snack food recall just before the Super Bowl parties.
Yeah, this is a product plenty of people may have just purchased this weekend. We've got the specifics.
If you
Tyson Foods now recalling one type of chicken nuggets because they may be contaminated with plastic.
Yeah, the recall affects Tyson's fully cooked panko nuggets packed in 5-pound bags. The company says a small number of people found pieces of blue plastic in their chicken. Tyson says there are no reports of injuries. So far, the problem does not appear to be widespread, but erring on the side of caution, the company is recalling more than 36,000 pounds of the product. Whew. Well, in 4 to 8 years, engineers who've looked at Pike County, Kentucky's landfill says it'll be completely full.
So county leaders have discussed 3 different options: build a whole new landfill, expand the current one, or start sending the trash to landfills in other counties and pay other counties. Well, at the fiscal court meeting yesterday, county leaders said the Solid Waste Authority already has another problem. It doesn't have money saved for any of those options, but it's also operating at a $1 million a year deficit. Garbage pickup rates increases were discussed at the meeting, but nothing voted on. Now, still coming up, a little fun with the incredible temperatures.
Yeah, just wait till you see all the innovative things you can do with fruit.
If you
This polar vortex is bananas.
Yeah, man in Buffalo, New York Buffalo, Minnesota, sorry, is trying to turn a banana into a hammer. After leaving it out in the freezing cold, it actually worked. You can see him using the frozen fruit to hammer a nail into a board. Not surprising, considering the temperatures dipped down to negative 24 degrees on Tuesday where he was.
And the bitter cold is a result of a polar plunge like we've been talking about that's bringing historic wind chills and record cold temperatures. To put it into perspective, and this amazes me, about 85% of the nation could feel temps at freezing or below by the end of the day.
And such a wild look to the snow this morning because many times it was going up. The wind was blowing it so hard it was actually not aiming at the ground, it was aiming at the sky.
Into my face.
I was going to say
into your face.
I think it wasn't actually sticking to anything. It was just laying there. So as soon as anything happened, close the door quick, all of that, it just blow off. No one had to really scrape today. Temperatures in the single digits now for some areas, just working that way in others. I want to show you the polar vortex. It's an actual thing, and you can see this contour here. Normally, I would show a couple different colors as to show cold in the atmosphere. atmosphere, but I had to change them because this air is that cold, talking about 40 degrees below zero kind of stuff. Well, that polar piece of Arctic air eventually moves up toward the north, but it came dangerously close to our region, and even getting a piece of it was good enough to send our temperatures down. But after tomorrow, we're going to start a warming trend that by Friday, believe it or not, will get us all the way to the freezing mark. Oh boy, warm enough to talk about rain coming back to town. And I got to tell you, after today, look at the trajectory putting us toward 50 on Saturday. That's going to feel like the warmest 50 degrees. I mean, right? It's got to be.
We'll be breaking out. Yes.
Exactly.
Thanks, sir.
Well, as always, we invite you to join us on social media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be right back.
In the midst of this bitterly cold temperature, you do have to prepare your home.
Yeah, if you didn't know, much of the country is in the grips of a polar vortex. And if you hadn't had a chance to winterize your home, now is the time. Here are some simple tips to make sure you don't come home to any problems in this bone-chilling weather. Leave your faucets dripping to keep the water from freezing and potentially bursting your pipes. It's also a good time to replace filters, as clogged filters are less efficient. Also, don't forget to reverse your ceiling fans. This is a new one that'll force the warm air downward, giving your thermostat a break. And seal any cracks around doors and windows with weather stripping. That'll prevent heat from escaping. And even the tiniest cracks can allow cold air in and warm air out.
And I want to reiterate that because of this cold weather, a lot of churches in our region have decided to cancel their Wednesday evening services. We're starting to list them right now on WSAZ.com. They're under the story called Church Closings, and do keep looking through the day because they're likely to change that list. More get added. Well, many football fans are hoping the Super Bowl will turn out to be a close game, but has this for an incentive. If the game goes to an overtime, you get free chicken wings.
Oh yeah, that's what Buffalo Wild Wings is promising. The restaurant chain says if the LA Rams and New England Patriots go into OT, they will offer everyone in America a free snack-sized order of wings. So the catch, in order to redeem the deal, you'll have to dine in at Buffalo Wild Wings on Monday, February 18th from 4 to 7 p.m. local time. Well, the New England Patriots have at least one superfan who's sure they're going to win this big game. Ozzy is a 680-pound grizzly bear at the Montana Zoo. He clearly thinks the Patriots are going to go all the way.
Again, not good news for Los Angeles fans, I guess, but their cake exists still. Ozzy has nailed 5 of the last 6 Super Bowl picks. He only missed one, that Super Bowl 48 pick when Seattle upset Denver. So there you have it. Ozzy, the grizzly bear, says it's the Patriots who are going to win the game. And honestly, if you don't like the pick, are you going to argue with him? I don't think so. Well, this deep freeze going on around the country is closing an awful lot of schools. But one 80-year-old crossing guard in Iowa says there's work to be done anyway. As Ben Oldak reports, he braves the cold with a warm personality.
So nice to see you. Goodbye. Have a nice evening, my dear lady.
Glenn Peterson spends his afternoons at the corner of Valley West Drive and Western Hills Drive. The 80-year-old crossing guard says this week's brutal temperatures won't stop him from doing his job.
I was raised on a farm in southern Iowa, so this kind of weather never really bothered me too much. I just layer up, about 5 on top and 3 on the bottom. I feel no pain because my face is conditioned. How was your day?
He dutifully stands watch along the busy road, even if only one student needed his services Monday afternoon. But the West Des Moines School District may not need his help over the next few days. They're closely watching the forecast to determine if they need to close schools during the week.
We're already in contact with the National Weather Service, monitor that, as well as area school districts to determine what we may decide to do and what the most appropriate timing for that is.
The school district says they're looking for sustained wind chills of -30 as the benchmark for closure, but that's not set in stone.
We absolutely take into account the students who are walking to school or waiting for buses, as well as wanting to make sure that our buses are going to run smoothly and be warm enough to get the kids to each of the schools that they're going.
Something that Glenn Peterson says he wasn't lucky enough to experience.
I had an 1/8 of a mile to walk to a little country school. We never canceled school back in the good old days.
Welcome back. It's time now for our Pet of the Week. We've got Stephanie here as always with Little Victories, and we have a very special guest. This is Olive, only 9 weeks old, correct?
Right. She's 9 weeks old.
Very loving.
You know, exactly. She's loving you. If you notice, she has an injury to her eye. She had an accident, so she did lose one of her eyes, but she's totally fine and getting around really well.
Good. So you can tell that she's very playful. You mentioned that she may have been around another dog in the past.
Right.
Would she be okay with one in a new home? Okay.
Yes. She's dog friendly. She'll be totally fine. But she's 9 weeks old, like you said, and we're just looking for a forever home for her.
Okay, so does she have all her vaccinations and everything?
Yes, and as you noticed before we went on air, we took the cone off of her. She's been spayed,
okay,
so she's ready to go. She's fully vetted and ready to go to her forever home.
Well, obviously, you know, she's so small right now and loving. Do we have any idea how big she's going to get?
We don't know. She was a surrender from the vet's office. Someone took her in when she was injured, but from what we can gather, her size and everything, she probably will stay a pretty small animal.
Okay. So what about kids? You know, she's small right now. She could get a little bit bigger, very playful, as you can see. Would she be good around kids?
We think so.
Okay.
As long as she's has gotten used to them and everything, she should be totally fine with kids.
Okay, so we're looking for someone who, you know, can handle a small dog, but definitely a playful one who's, you know.
She has a lot of
yeah, you got to keep up with this energy. So if someone wants to adopt this adorable dog, you know, what do they have to do?
We suggest that they go online to our website and fill out an application for adoption, and then we'll get back with them.
And of course, I'm glad you're here because during this time of the year, we're talking about how brutally cold it is outside. When it comes to animals, how important is it to bring them in?
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. We really need to make sure that all the animals are brought in from outside, especially short-haired animals. If you don't have a nice shelter for them and bedding in it, definitely bring them in.
Okay, well, thank you so much for staying in and bringing this cute little dolly. And again, if you want to adopt her, you can just go to Little Victories, check her out.
Right, go to Little Victories online and fill out an application.
Okay,
all right.
Thank you so much. We'll be right back. And still to come, building a little help for dogs. A small little thought is now turning into a major program for one town.
And time to learn the waddle. It may be your best act, and acting like a penguin to keep from getting hurt in the winter.
Yes, we still see the impacts that just a light amount of snow continue to have out there on the roadways. Well, guess what? The air temperature is going to continue to fall right through tomorrow morning. We've got that cold numbers coming up.
If you've been
Basketball is arguably one of America's favorite sports, but apparently it's also nonpartisan.
If you play politics with it, West Virginia legislature did. They held the Dick Henderson-Tony Lewis charity basketball game last night at West Virginia State University. Democrats against Republicans, the House of Delegates and the Senate taken to the court to raise money for children battling cancer.
There has been somebody in everyone's lives that has been touched by cancer. So the more that we can do with research and preventative care and all those types of things, it just goes to such a great cause, and I'm proud to be a part of it and looking forward to it next year.
Okay, wasn't like in the end result, though, because in the end, the Republicans won 49-28.
Are you worried about slipping in the snow and ice? I am too. We've got a pro tip for you. Try walking, I'm not joking, like a penguin. As Central New Yorkers deal with snow and ice, they're being told to waddle like the two-footed animal. Apparently taking small steps helps you stand upright instead of slipping and falling. I'm just laughing looking at the video. Nurse practitioners say they see more fall-related injuries during this time of the year, so be careful while walking through that bitter cold.
If you do this penguin shuffle, then you won't fall on the ice.
You got to walk like a duck, and that's really the key, is just small little steps.
You're better off to actually kind of bundle up into a ball and kind of tumble.
One family's love of animals has sparked a community effort to keep stray cats out of the cold. A 5-year-old boy and his mother are building shelters for them. Stephanie Lindquist Johnson and her son are wrapping styrofoam coolers with trash bags and stuffing them with hay. After Lindquist Johnson put a post online, neighbors dropped off enough supplies to build 30 shelters.
Those shelters are key. Shelters are key for us, too. I don't care if you're a dog or a human. It's hard to stay warm right now.
That's right. That's why we're still in severe weather alert mode, even though it's sunny outside for a lot of spots. Now, remember, the folks are cold. The pets are colder. A lot of you have the outdoor pets. Those water bottles.
Unless you're a penguin. They love that.
They love that. But, you know, all of those water bins, they are frozen if you haven't treated them or if you don't have them heated. It's an issue out there, but also an issue, those winds. That'll get everybody. everybody. You can see those flags there down right on 5th Avenue in Huntington blowing. Now, it's managed to blow all the snow off the streets. That's been a good thing, but we still have a ways to go as far as this cold is concerned. We're tracking a couple of flurries out here right now. They're not a big deal. Remember, the snow that's already on the ground will blow around just as much to lower visibility, so that's all been an issue. We've had wind gusts as high as 40 miles an hour this early afternoon here, and we're going to see that added to these temperatures, putting numbers in the negative territory for wind chill, and we have colder air to go. So unfortunately, it's just going to be miserable out there. Wind chill advisories as we go on into the rest of the evening, sub-zero wind chills, and that Arctic sun still shining here. So the temperatures will fall into the single digits and stay there. Coldest night yet, and we're going to spend hours in single-digit territory, perhaps as many as 15 or 20 hours doing that. Radar and satellite composites showing that first wave of flakes, and this is a little chaser line of flurries, but it's really this increasing plunge of Arctic air that came right down through Minnesota, across Chicago, and will be passing across, say, I-80 up there to our north. So around here, we're actually going to get back to some sunshine, and those flakes in the mountains will fade and take those gusty, blustery winds with them. The winds are actually stronger now than they will be later on this afternoon. We'll even see the winds quiet down a little bit by the evening drive. Still going to be blustery. The problem is a calmer night is a colder night with the air temperature. So how it really feels out there, one way or the other, will still be below zero. Tomorrow morning's temperatures may well be below zero for a lot of folks, even before you factor in the wind. But we'll have that sun, and we do try to get you back at least into the low 20s, so some warming. You're not going to feel much warming tomorrow. But Friday is a difference maker. Yes, we are tracking the potential for accumulating snows, but notice the temperature's warming up enough, we may actually mix over to rain by the end of the day. But not today. Today's all about the chill, dropping through the teens into the single digits, brutal wind chills well below zero, and then tonight the air temperature can get below zero. So we'll be watching for that. And then as we get on to the next several days, Thursday, the coldest morning, finally tries to warm us up by the afternoon, to the point that Friday even brings a risk of changing over to rain. But I think at this point there'll be some celebration with that, and even warmer weather this weekend.
That weekend looks amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brandon.
No, festivals aren't just food and music.
You've got to be fearless for this one and face heights head on. For the 24th year in a row, a town called Ouray, Colorado played host to its annual Ice Festival.
The event brought 4,000 people together for the sport of ice climbing. Meg Hilling has a look at the fun.
Some people like to look at waterfalls, and others like to climb them. Frozen, that is. For the 24th year in a row, Ouray is holding its Ice Festival, an annual event focused on the challenging but rewarding sport of ice climbing.
Have fun with it. Don't put pressure on yourself about how you're doing.
The sport requires tons of rope, helmets, crampons, and no fear of heights. Located in a gorge south of the town of Ouray, the festival also relies heavily on weather, as well as man-made and natural waterfalls. Officials with the festival say they anticipate over 4,000 people in attendance this year and are hoping the conditions of the ice park will encourage even more to come.
So probably 98% open. A couple climbs are staying closed just because they didn't form up all the way.
Even if you're not as good as the guy behind me, don't worry. Park officials say throughout the weekend there'll be multiple clinics for anyone to take part in.
It's a learning process and just kind of enjoy the process.
Oh, and that wasn't all the fun. The festival also features vendors to keep you up to date on the latest on climbing gear. Also, they have music and food and actually dance parties every night.
You know, I'm surprised we don't see more of those icicles that we just saw in that video here. It's so cold out.
Yeah, if we had more runoff on the sides of the mountains, I bet out toward those higher spots in the south where we may end up having a whole ton of that out there. But right now, we've gotten a lot from a very little. We had less precipitation today than yesterday, and notice we had more snow out of it. Why? Those temperatures are a lot colder. So that's the difference and the challenge, of course, when forecasting snowfall. You get to the rest of the day today and those temperatures keep dropping. We'll be in single-digit territory much of the evening straight through tomorrow morning. And yes, no matter how fast the wind is blowing, it'll feel like sub-zero territory. So wind chill advisories are merited through tomorrow morning. Thursday afternoon does muster the low 20s with the help of a little bit of sun. No, that probably won't feel very warm. But by Friday, we are going to be going in that direction. Warm enough to mix some snow over to rain. But boy, this weekend, Saturday, Sunday at this point may end up being primo. Never said the mid-50s is hot, but I mean, it's about as warm as it could feel.
Did I see a 60 in there?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Bring it on. Thanks, Brandon. Well, still coming up. New numbers have vets worried medication may go to be the wrong species.
And do you dread waking up in the morning? Well, you may have your parents to blame for that.
Right.
Officials in North Carolina honored a 911 dispatcher yesterday for her work in helping to deliver a baby this week. It happened Monday, and she did this all over the phone. Remember, a dispatcher started when the dispatcher, Katrina Oxendine, got a call about a woman going into labor. She had the training, she put it to work. She was able to talk the woman through the process of giving birth. Within minutes, the baby boy delivered. If that wasn't impressive enough, Oxendine actually says this is the second time recently she's helped to deliver a baby over the phone. In health matters, the government not doing enough to prevent and reduce tobacco use in the country. That's the finding of the latest State of Tobacco Control report from the American Lung Association. 40 states scored an F in setting a minimum age for tobacco sales. 43 states F in providing funding for prevention programs. The federal government also failed on many measures. And while the FDA has announced plans to reduce e-cigarette use among kids, the report concludes it won't be nearly enough to have a meaningful impact. New study revealing opioid prescriptions for pets are on the rise, raising questions about who's really using them. Researchers from the University of Pennsylvania say opioid prescriptions at their vet hospitals rose 41% in the last 10 years. The number of visits, though, only up about 13%. Well, experts say it is now very likely that those drugs are winding up being used by people, not dogs. Well, kids who look at a screen in the dark right before going to bed may not be getting enough sleep. Researchers in Britain surveyed some 6,000 kids about their nighttime device use. Kids who used a phone or watched TV with the lights on had a 31% higher risk of poor sleep than those who were screen-free. But you know what? That risk increased 147% when they used devices in the dark. Studies show 90% of kids do not sleep the recommended 9 to 11 hours each night. They're looking for ways to help. Now, some new research suggesting you may want to be genetically programmed to either be a night owl or an early riser. Researchers asked 700,000 people in both the United States and Britain if they were either a morning person or a night person. Their genes were then studied to see if there was any factor that may affect that sleep pattern. And they found a person's genes could shift their natural waking time by 25 minutes. Those who were night owls may also be at a higher risk of developing mental illness, though, but researchers are not sure of an exact link on that one. Well, thanks for being here for Midday, but stay with us. Katie's back with Moms Every Day next.
Helping make your life easier. Moms Every Day.
Welcome to Moms Every Day. Today we're talking food and special deals here with Christy from Bombshells Burger and Barbecues. First of all, I've heard about your place, but I've never gone there. Why don't you tell me about the concept, because it's a pretty unique one.
Yes, if you've not been, it's very different than anything else in the area. We are a diner that is 50s style, that we really are based around military and World War II stuff. So we always honor our vets. We have a wall of vets from World War II. Anytime the vets are in, we always honor them when they're there. everything's 50s music, like sing-along, great tunes, and then we are also attached to Bear Arms Gun Range. So it's really like an entertainment instead of just a restaurant, because you can come in and spend the entire evening there with your family, as eat dinner, go shoot at the range, and you're there for 3 or 4 hours, and it makes a good evening for something different to do in the area.
Okay, so you guys are pretty well known in the area, but I know with the new year, you've got some changes coming up, so why don't you tell us about those?
Yes, so New Year's resolution, like statistics are what, like 75% of people are going to lose weight for the New Year's, myself included. So we decided, we thought we might put out a healthy menu. So we have a lot of things on our menu that are healthy, but we kind of put them all on one piece of paper and made it to where it's really easy for somebody that comes in that's trying to stay on track to be able to look at one piece of paper where everything's healthy and not have to peruse over all the unhealthy things to get to the healthy stuff. So today I brought some stuff from our healthy menu. Pork rinds is huge right now. We have a tree full of pork rinds. We cannot keep it full because people buy them on the way out the door. So we decided to do pork rinds by the basket. They're keto friendly, so everybody doing the big famous keto diet right now can have as many pork rinds as you like because there are no carbs. So we flavor them with salt and vinegar, or ranch, or spicy barbecue, or regular barbecue. I brought some regular barbecue ones today for whoever to try. Smell it. And then I brought a half chicken. We've always had the half smoked chicken. It's so good. And then you can add whatever healthy sides you want. We have green beans now, a side salad or whatever that you choose to eat with it. Crustless pizza is huge. This is an interesting one. Yes. So we decided crustless pizza has a cheesy crust that gets crispy, and then we put the toppings on and put it back through the pizza oven. So it's been really popular. And then a salad. We have 3 or 4 different salads. This antipasta salad. It comes with like a homemade dressing that is made with some of that banana pepper juice, and it's really good. Wow. So anything healthy, we've got you covered. We also have the unhealthy stuff. So
there you go, something
you can
for
have
everyone.
whatever you like.
And then, you know, next month it's February.
Yes.
Why don't we talk about the Valentine's Day special that you have going on?
So we are a very popular spot for date night, so we thought it would be appropriate to have a Valentine's Day special so people can come in and kind of get a deal, because they already come in a lot and do date night. So we have the special where you're going to get a heart full of ammo, which is like a $55 value in this little heart because it's 4 boxes of ammo there. Wow. You'll get dinner for 2, so you'll have 2 entrees, 2 desserts, 2 drinks, and then you get to go to the gun range afterwards and get a lane and a couple targets for $99. Okay. So that's going on through February. Check us out for that, and we're also doing heart pizzas. Don't you? If you make pizzas, you have to have heart pizzas. So all of the Valentine's week, we'll be doing heart-shaped pizzas for just when people ask. So.
And do you buy that ahead of time?
You can, or anybody that is eating in can say, make it a heart, or we're going to kind of ask if you want a heart or not. So.
Okay, great. Well, I understand you have more than just one location.
Yes.
So where can people find you?
Yes, we have a gun range in Ashland, Kentucky. It's on Winchester Avenue. There's no food there, but Huntington, West Virginia, at the top of 5th Street Hill, all the food you want. And then we also have our mall store in Huntington Mall still open. So if you've not been to the mall store, there's all kinds of goodies there. T-shirts, bags, shoes, patches, everything like that. So
okay, well, some very exciting new things ahead that people can look forward to. Yes. Chrissy, thank you so much for being my first Mom of the Week segment. Had a lot of fun, and of course you can catch this segment again on our website, WSAZ.com.